We're Ariel,
And Michelle,
and
and
we're
we're
the
the Board
Board
Game
Game
Tutors.
Tutors. Today, we're going to be doing our Advanced Concepts video for the board game Castle Panic, and today we're going to be discussing primarily all of the monster tokens that we haven't yet described yet. So,
All right.
let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, so here's the board. First, we just want to briefly go over starting setup because we haven't talked about that yet. So you're always going to start with the same monsters, but you get to choose where you want to put them on the board. So there's one troll, and there are two orcs and 3 goblins. So you get to distribute those how you want to distribute them. So here we've put our troll, at number 1 we put a goblin, number 2 a troll, number 3 an orc, number 4 a goblin, number 5 an orc, and number 6 a goblin. So you get to choose however you want to distribute those. You just put 1 in every arc. So 1 at 1, 1 at 2, etc.
And yeah, they're in the archer arc, and so you can tell the difference because one archer, you have to put one monster there from the 6 that you can choose, and same for 2, 3, etc. And yeah, so this is the starting setup of every basic game of Castle Panic.
Mm-hmm. And as we mentioned in the previous video, normally monsters start in the forest ring, but at the very beginning of the game, you're going to put them in the archer ring because that way the first player has a chance to attack the monsters. Otherwise, if they were in the forest, you can't attack in the forest, so then nothing would happen on the first turn.
Okay, and now, lastly, on order of play, so these are where all these tokens will come out, these monster tokens. Draw 2 new monsters. What it doesn't specify is when you pull a monster from this monster draw pile over here, you won't know what you're getting, but it will be a monster effect token or it will be a monster token.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you draw 2 new monsters, this is when all of these special monster tokens will come into effect.
Okay, so we're going to talk about all the different tokens that might come out.
Here's the first stack.
Okay, so these are different effects that might happen when you draw tokens.
These are specifically movement based.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this one is called Green Monsters Move 1. So it's really simple. If this is the token that you pull out, then you look to see what monsters are in the green section. So right now we have 2, an orc and a goblin. So they would all move forward 1 space. So the orc's going to move forward 1. The goblin moves forward 1. So that's like extra movement that you weren't expecting because movement would have already happened on this turn because that's step 5, move monsters. Yeah, and then so during number 6, additional movement happens if you draw this token.
And there are 2 of these in the draw pile of monsters. And if you happen to have a monster in the, let's lift this up, the green section of the castle, there are 2 spaces inside of the castle that are green, then the monster that is in the green section of the castle will move clockwise by 1.
Right.
So if the monster was in this space that I moved this tower out of the way of, then he would immediately go to the next tower and destroy it if there was a tower there.
Right, and same with if he was in that other green part of the castle.
Yes.
He would then move into the blue part.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to keep these towers straight, but we'll try to do our best. Okay, so that was the first one.
Okay, then we have red monsters move 1. So it's the exact same idea, but instead the red monsters would move 1.
So, for example, if you had 5 monsters distributed in all the different red spaces on the board, then all of the monsters that are in the red would move. Not just 2, all of them. Mm-hmm. So he would move 1, and he would move 1. And obviously, one way to keep track of that is to start at the earlier number, move all the monsters in the 1 arc, then go to 2, move all the monsters in the 2 arc, because they're both red.
Mm-hmm.
Oops. Grabbed one by accident.
And then the last color movement based one is blue monsters move 1. So exact same idea. You just go to the blue section and whatever monsters are in the blue section, you move forward 1 space.
So Michelle's going to move that one because I can't reach it. And I'm going to move 6. So okay. Yeah, they would both move forward 1. Right?
All right.
And the last one.
Monsters move counterclockwise.
So this is a hard one to do all by myself because Michelle usually helps me with this movement, but I'm going to do my best. So all the monsters, wherever they are currently on the board, move counterclockwise. So they don't just go, let's see here, counterclockwise. So
they go back this way to the previous arc. So if they're in 1, they go to 6.
Etc. 6 goes to 5.
5 goes to 4. So it's a little tricky to just keep track of what you're doing with these. This one goes to 3. This one goes down to 2. This one goes down to 1. I think we moved them all.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you just have to pay close attention to make sure you move all the monsters one space counterclockwise, which means they'll go into the arc number below the one they're currently in.
Right. And also, I forgot about this one. Monsters move clockwise, so just the reverse. So wherever the monster currently was, it moves one number to the left. So anyone in 1 would go to 2 in the same position, whatever ring they're in, and they would move that way once.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's a little hectic when you have a bunch of monsters on the board, but yeah, if you're playing with one other person, you can help keep track of where all the monsters were originally.
All right, so those were all the monster tokens that cause movement.
Here are all the monster tokens that, as you can see, they draw more monster tokens. So
this one says draw 3 monster tokens. So in a normal turn, you draw 2 tokens, but if one of the 2 tokens you draw is this one, draw 3 monster tokens, then you're going to draw a total of 5 monsters on this turn.
So not awesome, but yeah, that's not great token to draw, especially if you're already getting pounded in one particular color.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we have draw 4 monster tokens. So same idea. You're going to draw an additional 4 monster tokens on this turn for a total of 6.
So not nice at all. There's only one of these, and there's only one of the draw 3 monsters as well.
Then this is a giant boulder, so this one's just a little bit complicated. So here, when you draw a giant boulder, it basically comes through from the forest somewhere on the board. So you would roll a die to see which numbered arc. So there's a 6. Okay, so that means in this case, that 6 over there in the corner, that's where the giant boulder came through. So you kind of imagine it passing through. It would kill whatever monsters it passed. So there's a goblin.
Dead.
So the monsters that are in arc number 6, everywhere in arc number 6. And then it hits a castle structure, and that's where it stops moving. And it destroys the castle structure that it hit. So there, the wall's gone, and the giant boulder is now gone. Yeah. So you don't really have to place it on the board, but if it helps you visualize what's happening, you can do that. So yeah, it's kind of funny because it's like there's a goblin somewhere back in the forest rolling the boulder or something like that, and they don't always know where their guys are. So if there are any monsters there, they get killed, but your structure also gets destroyed.
Yeah. So for example, if there was no wall, this tower would get hit and get destroyed, and the boulder would go away. Same thing here. As you have to look at it basically line of sight. If you're looking at it directly above, it would pass through this wall first, and then if another boulder came, then they would hit this tower in the 6 arc. Then you follow line of sight here. Let's go ahead and go above the board a little bit to show you. Then it would hit the tower that is in space 3. Arc 3, I mean. So then that would get destroyed next if the boulder came through there and those 2 first structures were missing. And lastly, if it came through 6 and it came all the way through, it would hit this wall, and that would be the last castle structure. If there was nothing in the path, no wall here, no tower here, no tower here, and no wall there, the boulder would simply pass through and kill all the monsters that were on 6 and on 3. So, obviously at certain times, especially when you have a bunch of monsters in one particular arc, you're really hoping to roll that arc, because that will help you a lot in terms of saving you from the oncoming assault in that particular arc.
Right.
So those were all the draw new monster tokens, as well as the boulder token. And so there are 4 tokens of the boulder, I believe, in the game. Here are a few more effects.
So this one is all players discard 1 card when you draw this monster effect token. Every player gets to choose one of their cards, and they have to discard the card that they choose.
So, for example, this is Michelle's hand, this is my hand. Just for simplicity's sake, we'll just get rid of the top cards from our hands. Obviously, you're going to look at your hand, see what you don't need on a particular turn, on your upcoming turn, and discard those cards if you have an option. So you would take that and put it in the discard pile.
And if any player happens to have no cards at this point, then they just wouldn't do anything because they wouldn't have any card to discard.
Or if you only had 1 card left, you would have to be forced to get rid of that card.
Right.
So That's all players discard one card. So basically, you have a choice with this one of which card from your current hand you want to get rid of.
Now, this one is Plague Archers. In this case, everyone has to discard all the archers that are in their hand right now.
It's not just player 1, it's not just player 2, it's all the players that have archers. So as you can see, I have 2 archers. Both of these archers were infected with some sort of monster plague, I'm not sure what, and they go to the discard pile. And you have no choice. You must discard all archers. Let's go ahead and check Michelle's. Swordsman, Knight, Archer, that one's gone. Goes to the discard. Right? So that is Plague Archers. There's only one of these in the deck.
Okay, and then the same type of idea, this is Plague Knights. So all players have to discard any knights that are in their hand at this point.
Ouch. So I have 2 knights. I would only have 1 brick left over. Michelle, I believe she has at least 1. Yeah, 1 knight. So that's that. So all the knights are gone, and it's not a choice. Okay.
All right, and
Last
then finally Plague Swordsman. So same type of idea, you have to get rid of any swordsman you have.
I have no swordsman.
If these somehow all came out at once, that would be really bad. Obviously, that doesn't normally happen.
But yeah, normally you would draw 2 tokens, monster tokens, except in the instance where you would have to draw 5 or 6, depending upon the other tokens that you drew. So in this case, Michelle would lose all of her red swordsmen. So not great if that happened in a normal game.
All right, so that was all those effects.
All right, so those were all of those. Now we're up to the bosses. So let's go ahead and get started on them.
And as we've already shown you, there are orcs and goblins and trolls, just like we started with at the beginning of the game. Those are also among the tokens that you'll be drawing from. But then these are the boss monsters, which are kind of like the orcs and goblins and trolls, but they have more hit points. Well, they have the same hit points as the trolls. And then each of them has something else that happens when they come on the board.
Okay, so first, the Troll Mage. I'll go ahead and read the text for you. Right here on the bottom, well, on one of the 4 corners of the board, it gives you a cheat sheet, so that way you don't have to look at the rule book every time you get the boss monster. But for a Troll Mage, it says, roll the die, place the Troll Mage in the forest, of that number, obviously, then move all the monsters on the board, that's in bold, including the Troll Mage, 1 ring closer to the castle, or 1 space clockwise if they are inside of the castle ring. So he would get placed in 3 with his full 3 health points right here. And everyone on the board, including him, moves forward 1 space, or clockwise if inside the castle. So there's 1, there's 2,
This
3,
one goes forward, this
4,
one goes forward,
and that goes forward.
this one.
So that is not good if there are a lot of monsters on the table at the time. So the Troll Mage, he has 3 hit points. He's not very friendly, but yeah. So he's probably one of the worst boss monsters that you're going to come across in a game.
Right, because he makes all the monsters move when he comes on the board.
Okay. Orc Warlord, slightly less evil. So he has 3 hit points, just like the Troll Mage does. Orc Warlord, it says on the board, roll the die, place the Orc Warlord in the forest. So I rolled a 2. Oh, look, he's right there already. Okay, so I take him, point his 3 toward the castle. Okay, Orc Warlord. Then move all the monsters, including the Orc Warlord, in the same color as the Orc Warlord, 1 space closer to the castle.
So he doesn't move as many monsters as the Troll Mage does, but he just moves the ones in his same color. So in this situation, we have 2 monsters already in the Swordsman ring, so they're both going to hit the wall that's in front of them. So in each case, the wall is gone, and those monsters go down by 1 hit point. So they're still in the Swordsman ring until the next turn.
So obviously, drawing the Orc Warlord and the Troll Mage increases monster movement on the board. So you want to keep that in mind in terms of being prepared for, let's say you wanted to hit somebody in the Swordsman ring. They might not be in the Swordsman ring anymore if there were no walls there, for example, because now he might be inside the castle. So obviously, both of those can be pretty bad depending upon the current situation of the board.
All right, then we have the healer.
Okay.
This guy is really exasperating.
Roll the die, place the healer in the forest. All the monsters on the board regain 1 point of damage. If a monster is already at its full health, nothing happens. So I rolled a 6. Healer goes in the 6. He doesn't cause any extra movement, but now anybody who is hurt, these two specifically, go back up to 3.
So it's important to remember they go up by 1 hit point each. So they don't go to full health. They might go to full health, like in this case, that's what happened. But yeah, at first we thought they go to full health, but it's just 1 point each.
And obviously, you wouldn't normally draw this many bosses all at once, but for example, if you had to draw 6 tokens, this could theoretically happen.
Right.
So that's that. Now the last one, the Goblin King. It says here for the Goblin King, roll the die, place the Goblin King in the forest, then draw and resolve 3 more monster tokens. So he would go in 2. He does not cause extra movement, but now it's essentially as if we drew draw 3 monster token. So now 3 more monsters beside this Goblin King must come out. So for example, let's say you drew 1 regular monster and you drew the Goblin King. Now you have to draw 3 more monster tokens, so a total of 5.
Right. And for each of those new monsters, you would roll the die to see where to place them. So they don't automatically all go where the Goblin King is. They just go wherever you roll to place each of them separately.
Right. So what you need to be aware of is when you draw the Goblin King, it's essentially like draw 3 new monsters. And so you want to keep track of exactly how many monster tokens you have drawn. So obviously, if you're playing cooperatively with another player or other players, obviously try to help each other out to remember how many tokens you've drawn.
All
So
right.
those were all the special monster tokens from the board game Castle Panic. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let us know. And yeah, if you enjoyed the content of this video, please subscribe to our channel, The Board Game Tutors, on YouTube. Check out all of our content on BoardGameGeek.com. Look us up, The Board Game Tutors. And yeah, we appreciate all your feedback. And yeah, let us know if you have any comments.
All right. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.